Welcome to episode 9, I think, of Locke Loses at Pokémon. Honestly, I've done so many of these videos, I think I'm going to stop keeping track of what episode number we're on and just do them. Today, I will be losing with the Enchanted Echo theme deck. The Enchanted Echo theme deck is built around Sylveon, who is an absolutely amazing Pokemon in this format, but we'll get to her. We're going to begin with Eevee. Eevee has an ability called Energy Evolution that allows you to evolve him even on the first turn that he's in play by attaching a energy to him from your hand and then searching your deck for the evolution that energy corresponds to. If we are fortunate, we'll have Eevee and a Fairy energy in our opening hand so that we can immediately begin with Sylveon. Sylveon's Curly Ribbon attack is absolutely insane in this format. It only does 30 damage, but it allows you to move an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon to one of their benched Pokemon. So you get to essentially run them out of energy by stacking all of their energy on their most useless Pokemon on the bench, and this is theme deck format, so there will be some, and essentially put them into top decking mode as you keep hitting them for 30, not unlike Seismitoad EX's strategy in Standard. Once she has 3 energy on her, she becomes a sweeper in her own right with Echoed Voice. First time you hit with Echoed Voice, it does 50, but every time after that in succession, it does 100 damage, which is enough to one-shot a vast majority of Pokemon in the theme deck format and two-shot literally anything in it. In addition to Sylveon, we also run Leafeon as his grass evolution. Leafeon is a little bit less good. His Soothing Scent does 30 and puts your opponent's active Pokemon to sleep, which essentially gives you a coin flip to see if they stall out for a turn. And his Magical Leaf ability does 50 damage with the chance of doing an additional 30 and healing 30 if you're lucky with a coin flip. Rounding out Pokemon in this deck, all theme decks have a Stage 2 evolutionary line, and this one is no different, and ours is a good one. It's Victory Bell. Victory Bell's ability, Wafting Scent, allows us to do something with the excess grass energy that we are going to have by discarding a grass energy attached to him to confuse and poison your opponent's active Pokemon. His Spiral Drain attack is also not bad. It does 60 damage and allows him to heal 30. With his 130 hit points, that means that Victory Bell can stay alive for quite some time. Like most theme decks, it's a very inefficient evolutionary line, a 3-2-1 evolutionary line of Bellsprout and Weeping Bell, who are on their own pretty much useless, so we want to use them basically to get to Victory Bell. You're not going to have any Lysanders in the theme deck format, but we do have Clefable, which allows us to, as an attack, switch one of our opponent's benched Pokemon with one of their active Pokemon. So that allows us to, for 1 energy, choose who's going to be active. So we'll want to get our opponent's attacker off the active slot, and in the active slot put up a Pokemon that's going to have a high retreat cost. It'll either make him discard energy, or we'll just get a nice knockout with it. We have a 2-2 evolutionary line of Clefairy and Clefable, which is about right. Another 2-2 line we also have that I really enjoy in this deck is the Axelgore line. We'll start off with Shelmet, who, as you can see, is not particularly impressive, but when we're ready to attack with him, we evolve him into Axelgore. For 1 energy, his raid attack does 60 damage if you evolved him that turn, and his After Image Strike for 2 energy does 40 damage, then gives you a coin flip to prevent any damage that happens to him next turn. Plus, when you evolve him into Axelgore, he retreats for free. So our 2-2 line of Shelmet and Axelgore is a really nice surprise hit. We have 2 copies of Vigoroth, who is a Pokemon that is a Stage 1 that can do a fair amount of damage, 70 damage for 3 energy. All theme decks seem to have one such line. And Tornadus. Tornadus does 120 damage if you can use your supporters correctly and your trainers correctly to have an equal number of cards in your hand as your opponent. So he too can hit pretty hard. All theme decks have useless Pokemon in them, however, and ours is no exception. Ours is going to involve 2 copies of Noibat, and 2 copies of Shroomish. Basically, we'll essentially be using those only to manipulate our hand for Vigoroth's, or for Tornadus' attack, and sacrifice them to stall the game. Support-wise, unfortunately, this deck is not particularly great. Our single supporter in this deck is 2 copies of Battle Reporter, which allows us to draw cards until we have the same number of cards in your hand as our opponent, which is useful to us only if we are ahead in the game. It allows us to stay ahead. 2 copies of Roller Skates, which lets you flip a coin. If heads, draw 3 cards. So with my luck, this is essentially going to be a blank card. Maintenance, a card that allows us to shuffle 2 useless cards into our hand to draw a card. So we basically discard this and shuffle in 2 to draw 1, basically 3 for 1ing ourselves. Somewhat useful to get Battle Reporter to go off, but it takes work. Energy Switch allows us to move a basic energy from one of our Pokemon to another one of our Pokemon, which is essentially going to be used to get energy off of hopelessly damaged Pokemon and get them on a Pokemon that we want to attack with. 2 potions, which will primarily be used to keep our Sylveon alive. 2 copies of Professor's Letter, which are nice in this deck, I will admit. It allows us to search for up to 2 basic energy cards, reveal them and put them into our hand, which will allow us to facilitate evolutions. That is the Enchanted Echo theme deck. We have 8 Fairy Energy and 10 Grass Energy in the deck for a total of 18 cards and inefficient energy. But once again, that is the theme deck format for you. So let's go lose with it. We're up against a Plasma Freeze deck. Unfortunately, I have no idea what's in this one, so let's be surprised together. Okay, let's get started. This is about one of the worst starts we can have. Our 2 Pokemon that we have available are 2 useless ones, so let's begin with Noibat. And put Shroomish on the sacrifice line. Beldum, what are we looking at? Ooh, interesting. Okay, so we're up against a Psychic type deal. Team Plasma Grunt lets you discard 1 to draw 4. Okay. This is the weaker Eevee that allows you to tutor for 3 different types of evolution. But you have to have energy attached to do so. And you can't evolve him that turn. Ours is much faster. Kakuna. He must have a Beedrill evolutionary line ready to go. This is interesting. Let's thin our deck some. Get some grass energy. We have energy to spare, so let's go ahead and do a little bit of damage. That'll also give us an energy to retreat if we end up with an actually good Pokemon at some point. Metang. Now we start seeing... Alright. Now are we paralyzed? We are paralyzed, so we don't get to do squat next turn. Alright, more deck thinning. Fairy and Grass. Battle Reporter is now absolutely useless if we draw it. Come on, useful Pokemon. Kind of. We have more than enough energy, so we might as well go ahead and just put a little bit of, start putting a little bit of damage on Metang. We don't really have anything else useful to do with it. If we manage to get a Shell Met, we can knock Metang out in 2 turns. While we're waiting on him, let's take a look and see what else he's got. Ooh, that's nasty. Flip a coin, Lysander, and poison him. Wow, great support. This is a good-looking deck. I think I might see about acquiring this one. And the stall continues. And I continue to draw nothing but energy. Go ahead and potion up Noibat. Keep our clock on him. Of course, Noibat is going to go down once he has enough energy to Psy Punch, but what are you going to do? Now, let's go ahead and energy up Bellsprout. Just in case I start actually seeing Pokemon and that Pokemon ends up being a piece of his evolutionary line. Yeah, good Pokemon. Really good looking support. I think I like this deck. Alright. So, we start beginning with Psy Punch, it looks like. Come on, Shelmet. No. Energy up, slack off a bit. Alright, Noibat's going down next turn. Nothing we can do about that. We'll go ahead and in-turn. Well, no. What am I doing? Do another 20 damage. Alright. We're going to bring up Shroomish and sacrifice him in hopes of getting an actual decent Pokemon at some point. And yet another energy. So what has transpired in the last 5 minutes, I guess, or so, is exactly why I am not a fan at all of this format. Lack of consistency in supporters makes for very swingy, very luck-oriented games. Alright, we already know he has Kakuna in hand. Another Bellsprout. That's not useful to us. In turn. Alright. Let's go ahead and bring up Slackoth. Yeah. Slackoth can take 2 hits from Psy Punch, and yet another energy. So, let's stall. Big Yawn, put both Pokemon asleep. Alright, that buys us another turn. He can't attack or retreat while he's asleep. I don't know if he's got the Stage 2 Metagross. If he can evolve him to Metagross, then he can wake up. But until then, what we need now is Vigoroth or Shelmet. Eevee would be nice too. Alright, let's Beedrill. Whew. That is nasty. Alright, Metang remains asleep. And we finally have a Shelmet. So we can finish off this Metang with Axelgore whenever we feel like it. Energy up Shelmet and get ready for that. There's no point in attacking with Slackoth. Alright, Metang wakes up. Interesting. I wonder why he didn't attack with a Psy Punch. I guess he wants Slackoth to remain there. Okay. Let's go ahead and counterattack. Evolve him to Vigoroth. Put Reckless Charge, energied up. Yeah. I want to play a Grass Energy there, not a Fairy, because if I get Eevee, I want to get Sylveon. And let's knock out Metang. And we'll begin our counterattack. Now, Beedrill is going to hit us nasty with that Swift Sting. But there's nothing we can really do about that. Okay, he's going to fetch some energy out of his discard pile. Get ready to use Beedrill's Pierce, it looks like. Yeah. At this point, we have no choice but to retreat Vigoroth. We'll discard a Grass and a Fairy on him. And bring up Shelmet. Evolve him into Axelgore. And rate him for half his hit points. I am really curious where my frickin' EVs are. Another Axelgore, which doesn't do me a whole lot of good. So, as is fairly standard with this, we're going to see whether we live or die with a coin flip. Dermy Strike will bring him up to... So basically, if flip is heads and I live, I knock out Beedrill next turn and I'm in a great position. If it's tails, then I lose Axelgore and I really don't have any decent means of counterattacking. I can finish off Beedrill with Vigoroth next turn, but then I'm not in a great position. He looks to be building up a Leafeon. Yep. So, once again, I lose because I have no luck with coin flips. Finally, Eevee shows up. Alright. Let's see how much of that grass energy we can get on Grimer once he brings up that Eevee. Let's finish off Beedrill. Oh, no wonder I wasn't able to find a Weeping Bell. I wonder if he's going to use Bite to finish off Vigoroth, or if he's going to use Sign of Evolution to find his Leafeon. I can't imagine if he has Leafeon in hand that he wouldn't have already played it. Let's evolve our Weeping Bell. Options. We scratch for 20, or we discard a Fairy Energy to bring up Sylveon and start putting Grass Energy on Grimer. Sylveon can two-shot Eevee, so yeah. I'm concerned at this point the amount of energy that's in our discard pile, but what can you do? Curly Ribbon? Put it on Grimer. Espeon. Psy Alert's only going to do 20, and he won't draw anything because his hand's already huge. Shadow Ball to finish off Vigoroth. Makes sense. Thanks for showing up now, Vigoroth. Let's see. I have to Curly Ribbon. I will knock out Espeon next turn unless he retreats him, so I'm not afraid of the Shadow Ball. Yeah, let's get the Grass Energy off. We're in an okay position now. We're beginning to counterattack. Okay. Maintenance. Let's see if we can get a potion. Clefable and Vigoroth are both of limited use to me now. Energy. How much of a risk do I take here? Yeah, I think it's worth the risk. Yeah, I'm not terribly concerned about Grimer's Sludge Toss. There's Leafeon. That could have been disastrous if I'd attached Leaf Energy to Eevee. There's the Leafeon. Okay, now that was a terrible play. Energy Crush is going to destroy me. Oh no, he's going to go with Leaf Blade. Yeah. This game has been over for a long time. Basically, I either now draw Victory Bell or I lose. It's a shame. I thought I had finally beaten the bad luck. Nope. I get squat. Alright, let's lose with dignity. Energy Crush is doing 20, 40, 60 damage. Not quite enough. But Leaf Blade will if he rolls head. So once again, this game comes down to a coin toss. But this time, I actually managed to not lose it. Another useless Pokemon. Why not? Too little, too late potion. If he has any energy in hand, he wins. Does he or does he not have energy? I don't see why he's taking this much time if he did. Yeah, he's just wasting my time. Alright, well, there you go. Welcome to theme deck format, you can't beat variants no matter how good your skill is. Alrighty, well, that was Enchanted Echo. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you next time.